What is the purpose of your visit to Germany and to the 21st TSC?
Well, as the Commanding General of the Army Materiel Command, this visit has been vitally important to me as we are the Army's provider of joint logistics to the Joint Force. And so the opportunity to come and meet with the Eucom and AFRICOM commanders and understand their priorities, their issues, their challenges, and their concerns allows me then to ensure that I can assess AMC's posture here and ensure that we can support their needs today in terms of current operations as well as future contingencies. I think it's allowed me the opportunity to reinforce the importance of the relationship between Eucom, AFRICOM, USERA, the 21st Theater Sustainment Command, and AMC as we support operations here within the Southwest Asia and in the Middle East and Central Asia, as well as emerging requirements on the continent of Africa. It's also allowed me an opportunity to assess our AMC's footprint here, ensure that we're postured to be able to be regionally responsive to the combatant commanders, to assess our prepositioned stocks that we have here, our war reserves, and then of course to assess what emerging requirements are there as we go forward. And so it's been vitally important to be able to be here this week and as well as have the opportunity to meet with some of our units that are currently preparing to deploy as well as those who recently deployed to ensure that AMC is meeting its requirements in support of our men and women in uniform.
Sir, what are your thoughts on the Army's transition to sustainment?
Well, after soon now 12 years of war, the longest in the history of our nation, as we began transition to sustainment, is what I've termed for the U.S. Army Materiel Command, which really began at the end of operations in Iraq with Operation New Dawn, as we began to ramp down operations in Southwest Asia. And so now as we look forward to transitioning the mission to the Afghan National Army, and so they can take the lead for the security of their country, and we began to then retrograde our equipment, return our forces to the U.S. We want to ensure that we're postured to retrograde about $21 billion worth of equipment back to the United States through our depots, arsenals, to reset that equipment, to regenerate combat readiness and return that capability to our forces so they're prepared for the next contingency. During this period of time, we have multiple systems that we've acquired over the last 10 years, and many of those systems now will begin transitioning to sustainment. And so we want to ensure we have the processes in place to sustain that capability within our post camps and stations around the United States as well as overseas. And so that process has begun. I think it's important for us also to continue to work towards developing expeditionary capability and mindset. We've, of course, been accustomed to operating on fixed forward operating bases that have developed infrastructure in place and capabilities there when units arrive. And in the future, locations that we may have to conduct operations may be very remote. They may not have those type of fixed infrastructure in place in terms of power, fuel, communications. And so we want to ensure that we develop our capabilities and our training and our sustainment activities that we're postured to go forward and ensure that our units can be successful.
With that transition to sustainment, yes, how does the 21st fit?
Well, the 21st Theater Sustainment Command under the command of Major General Andre Prigui has a tremendous capability here within Europe. Basically, where it's strategically located is of vital importance in supporting operations in Southwest Asia, in the Middle East, and Central Asia, and also in Africa as we have emerging requirements there. And so the capability that the 21st has here to be able to sustain and maintain equipment, to have deployable capabilities that can go forward to support units in both training, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, disaster response. From that standpoint, and also to ensure that we are leveraging our capabilities here to sustain our pre-positioned stocks and materiel, and maintain capabilities to ensure the readiness of our forces here on the ground. And so 21st is a strategic enabler, critical enabler, to support of operations under Eucom theater as well as within the AFRICOM theater.
How is AMC prepared to support the combatant commander and the warfighter in Europe and Africa?
Well, in multiple ways. I think one, through these visits, my visit today, I've had an opportunity to meet with the combatant commanders and understand their priorities, their concerns, their challenges, and their issues, and to ensure that I can properly align our organizations and capabilities here to ensure that they're regionally responsive to the combatant commander and also can support emerging requirements and future contingency operations. We also support the combatant command, ensure that our Army pre-positioned stocks are modernized, that they maintain the readiness that's required so that they are available in the event they're needed to support operations within the Eucom theater or the AFRICOM theater. The Army Materiel Command is very heavily engaged in foreign military sales. And so for the Eucom theater, we have 41 countries and in excess of $16 billion in foreign military sales, which is important for security assistance and cooperation in building partnership capacity, interoperability between our forces, and also it is important for helping to sustain the industrial base within the United States as well. And so with systems like Apaches, with mortars and other capabilities that we in foreign military sales to these countries is important in supporting the combatant commander's priorities there. With AFRICOM, right now about 32 nations and over 700 million in foreign military sales. And so that's another key enabler to support the combatant commander's priorities. In October of last year, the Army Materiel Command assumed responsibility for the Director of Logistics all over the world. And so with those centers here in Europe, we're now able to leverage our core capabilities of logistics and readiness and maintenance from the national level all the way down to the installation level. And so those are the key elements that we have in place. And then last, AMC's presence here, led by what we call the face to the field, the Army Sustainment Command, one of our major subordinate commands that has Army Field Support Brigades that are regionally aligned in support of the combatant commander. We also have contracting support brigades that are here. We have Surface Deployment and Distribution Command, transportation brigades here. And so those enablers are there to support the combatant commander, both in terms of training, operations, and future contingencies.
Sir, how does the 21st TSE provide that contingency support to Africa and Europe?
Well, I think the 21st, because one of its position here is strategically located to support both those combatant commands, and it's organized in that way. And so it has theater responsibilities, and what I've seen in my visit this time is that the 21st has postured itself so it can be responsive to both combatant commanders, Eucom and AFRICOM. And I think having that forward presence here of that sustainment capability, along with all of its subordinate organizations, not only maintains the readiness of the equipment here in Germany as well as Italy, but also has capabilities from an expeditionary standpoint that can deploy it forward. And so it plays a vital role here in Germany in support of both of those combatant commands as well as U.S. Army Europe.
Sir, Africa is quickly becoming a critical role of operation. What role does AMC play in assisting AFRICOM?
First, I think is having an understanding of the priorities of the COCOM commander, and so I've had an opportunity to meet with General Rodriguez this week and understand where his priorities and concerns are with regards to the mission that AFRICOM has, which has evolved from the time that I was last stationed here in 2007 when the command was initially stood up. And those requirements are emerging and growing in the theater. I think it's important for AMC to ensure that, one, we understand what those requirements are, that we're postured to be responsive, both in terms of our units that we have forward stationed here. I think it's important that we review the Army pre-positioned stocks that we have and that they're available, especially with humanitarian response and disaster relief, to ensure that we have those capabilities available to respond should they be needed. And then just to ensure that we stay engaged. And I think that's where the 21st TSC plays a vital role as well, ensuring that we stay connected with the warfighter and we are regionally responsive to his needs.
Awesome.
We'll also continue to, as I mentioned with foreign military sales, that's another area that we'll continue to engage with the theater, and we'll do that in accordance with the commanders, the COCOM commanders' priorities. And so that's and the training capability that we're able to do as well with those nations on the continent.
What is the way ahead for AMC in Eucom and AFRICOM?
Well, just like all of the combatant commands, I think the way ahead is to ensure that, as a global command, we want to ensure that we remain engaged, that we're responsive to the needs, that we organize our command and our major subordinate organizations to ensure that they are aligned properly to support that commander and whatever his requirements and needs are. I think also to reassess our structure, to reassess the growing requirements and ensure that we can meet those with our expeditionary capabilities. And then most importantly is just to maintain the positive relationships and the teamwork that we have. And that's how we can ensure success in the future.
How do you feel the 21st fits in and will continue to fit in?
Well, my visit to this week has reinforced to me the vital importance of this command. 21st TSC has a unique capability. It's been here for a long time. It has evolved and changed as this theater has changed. The role that the 21st TSC has played in supporting operations previously in Iraq, as well as currently in Afghanistan, the support of the Northern Distribution Network as we're retrograding equipment out of the theater, its support to operations in Turkey, Romania, Bulgaria, Kosovo, and on the continent of Africa. The 21st provides enormous capabilities, and I think going forward are going to be even more vitally important to the success in support of the two combatant commands with Eucom and AFRICOM, as well as supporting USAR operations with our NATO partners and our allies, which is another critical component that the 21st plays here in the theater as well.
In closing, what would you say?
Well, it's been a tremendous visit, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to return to Germany after a few years to visit this vitally important organization here, this vitally important command, and its strategic importance to U.S. operations, not only here in Europe, but in support of three combatant commands, and certainly throughout the Middle East, Southwest Asia, Central Asia, and within Africa. It's presented me an opportunity to thank our personnel, our soldiers, our civilians, our contractor teammates, and their families for their service and sacrifice and the tremendous work that they do day in and day out. As you know, we've been at war for 12 years, the longest in our nation's history. And so their sacrifices have been many, and they've been great. And so to have an opportunity to recognize them and thank them personally for what they do and for their service and sacrifice in support of our nation, it's been an honor for me to be able to have that opportunity. So it's been a great visit. Thoroughly enjoyed being here and meeting with those units that have recently deployed and those who are preparing to deploy, and ensuring that AMC is providing the material and equipment that they require to accomplish their mission and return home safely to their families.
Sir, on behalf of the 21st TSC, I would like to say thank you for coming out and meeting with us today.
Thank you, Boggers.